Somewhere inside your company, AI apps that you don't even know about are leaking your data. So today, we're going to be exploring the hidden dangers of shadow IT and exactly how Defender for Cloud Apps helps you hunt them down before they cost you everything. Joining me for that is Microsoft's David Millay. And so let's dive in. One thing that comes to mind for me is over the last couple of years, AI in security went from being this kind of vague buzzword that was thrown about, and now it means something a little bit more tangible because we've had the rise of the GenAI apps, right? So in the context of Defender for Cloud Apps, AI security, what specifically does that mean to you?
So your observation is 100% correct. We've seen that in the matter of a couple months, we went from zero to almost 100% of our customers leveraging some kind of AI application somewhere. There's always somebody within a customer's environment that's going to use, I don't know, Copilot, ChatGPT, Claude, whatever that is, but they're going to use it. So that's the first thing. The customers have asked us, okay, the same question you're asking me right now. What do you guys do with those AI apps? We wanna find out what people are doing. We have no idea, and then they want to find out the risks. So that's exactly the approach we took. We listened to what our customers wanted, and we delivered. So the approach we have is really twofold. First part is discovery. So for those who are already familiar with Microsoft Defender for Cloud Apps, the product that I'm happy to represent here, we already have a very strong app discovery feature where we can find out which applications are in use in an environment and what kind of usage, who is using them, what are the risks with that application, is it a safe app, is it not a safe app, does it have risk specific to a specific industry based on a certain compliance requirements, things like that. So what we did, we extended that specifically for generative AI applications. Now you can classify and check which generative AI applications are in use in an environment. So that's super important. It seems like it's trivial, but that's the first thing that our customers wanted: discovery. We want to find out what's in place in the environment. What are people doing with those AI things? Then, once we know, we can start protecting. We have a number of customers that knew that some applications would send their prompts to countries they were not comfortable with sending their prompts to. So based on that, they can block the apps. But before being able to discover that using Defender for Cloud Apps and its discovery features, they didn't even know which Gen AI applications were, or they had to dig manually, finding out in network logs which application was in use, which product, which URL. It was a pain in the neck. What we did is that we classified the applications for our customers, and it keeps growing up. Last time I checked, it was finally above 1,000 applications that we classified. It could be higher now. I don't know. I'll let our viewers check it out on their environment. By the time they review that video, it might change again. But we are very, very active in making sure that we classify those applications. We fill out all the relevant parameters, settings, compliance requirements for these applications. So when customers see which app they use, it's not just, oh, okay, I'm using Claude. No, you're using Claude, and these are the security implications of using Claude. And I'm taking this as an example. Don't take this as I'm endorsing or not endorsing that specific application. It's just an example. Could have said ChatGPT or Gemini or anything else. So that's the idea. You can see which application are in use. So that's the first thing. And I'll tell you about the second part of the story, and then I'll show you a couple demos if you're interested. The second part is, once you know which applications are in use, you may want to find out what people are doing or recommend certain applications. We have a great feature in Defender for Cloud Apps where you can warn and educate your users to what they should do. So, for example, if you want them to use your Microsoft 365 Copilot, you can put a special configuration for other applications. And if somebody leverages ChatGPT, you can say, hey, listen, the approved corporate app for GenAI is Microsoft 365 Copilot. So go to Microsoft 365 Copilot, and that will be better. So that's the kind of things you could very well do. And so then in Microsoft 365 Copilot, that's the second part of the story. we added some level of detection for risky behavior. So there's a lot of things you can do with Copilot, as you can know. And if I'm a hacker, it's actually a great tool for me. I'll demo that in a couple minutes, but it makes your life easier to exfiltrate data as an attacker. You don't have to dig through a bunch of emails or OneDrives. You just ask Copilot for what you want, and if you're lucky, you'll get it much faster. We're having a few detections that will help finding out when these kind of things happen, and we have much more things we're working on that it's a bit too early to discuss. But there's a number of our research team are working very hard right now to identify all the different new risks that come from generative AI applications, and we have a number of things in the pipe, and I'm sure we'll do another episodes of those podcasts when it comes up.
Absolutely. Cool. Oh, I love it already because we're already teasing kind of stuff that's coming up.
I like to tease.
And I guess on that point, like AI security is like it's so new, right? Like, I mean, I feel like uh compared to like maybe traditional endpoint protection, where it's like we've had this game for 30 plus years now. This Gen AI security, we've had it for a couple of years, right? So how do you keep up with the research, right? Because I feel like every day, every week, there's some new type of jailbreak exploit or something else
Yeah,
going on.
exactly. You're 100% correct. Well, we have great teams, but everybody's going to think I'm biased when I say that. So it's fine. But my experience is that we have really care about that. We know this is very important. And I'll tell you something. When you talk about AI security, it's a bigger story than just Defender for Cloud Apps. It's a Microsoft story. That's my product. That's what I know. We could have a much bigger discussion talking about what other products are also helping doing. We have data security on your prompts if you leverage Purview. We have an AI hub in Purview that will really help you find out what kind of data is exposed in AI applications. You have when it comes to custom AI apps, if you have some in your Azure cloud, Defender for Cloud will be able to detect, for example, jailbreak attempts. So that there's a lot of things that we are doing. So it's a bigger story, and we have right now research teams that are specializing themselves within this area of Gen AI, because this is what our customers are expecting, and this is something we are very serious about delivering. So what I'm giving you now is wave one, but be aware that a lot more things will come.
Cool. Awesome. And yeah, to your point about the right tool for the job, you've got Defender for Cloud, which kind of helps people developing with AI. You've got Purview, which helps the data security of AI. And if we focus now on Defender for Cloud apps, it's that to me, when I look at Defender for Cloud apps, I look at a product that has really matured from being what people conventionally called a CASB into something that is, well, it's a CASB plus plus plus, right? Because it does and a whole bunch of other stuff. And this Gen AI stuff where it discovers it and
Yep.
then lets you control and detect it. That's really interesting. So do you want to, we were talking earlier, we teased the audience about kind of demonstrating some stuff. Maybe we could get into that now and guide folks through what the life cycle of AI security might look like when they use Defender for Cloud apps.
Sure. So let's go with the demo. So this is Defender for Cloud Apps. And within Defender for Cloud Apps, I didn't want to waste your time. I already opened the Cloud Discovery page. So that Cloud Discovery page shows you what kind of applications have been discovered, are being in use in the environment. Obviously, this is demo data. It's not random if you see only generative AI applications in that case, but in general, you will see generative AI, network storage, cloud storage, productivity apps, things like that. So that's a pretty big it's a bigger scope than just AI, quote unquote just AI. But now we're going to find out which applications are. So in that case, first of all, you can see in that page the top users, the top apps, where the apps are located. So then you can decide that there's some countries that you can trust based on your corporate policies or not. And if you want a full list, which is what we're going to get to, you go to Discovered Apps. Here under Discovered Apps, so we have 29 applications, and they're all Gen AI in our case, as I mentioned. You can filter. We're going to look at the full list. Then we'll play a little bit with the filters. We'll see the high risk ones. So okay, these are the basics. everybody's using Copilot. Everybody's using ChatGPT. There should be it should be somewhere. Yes, I knew it would be. So these are the basics. Now, if you just tell me, listen, I'm fine with the basics. I want to know which one have some level of risk. So let's see, way around. Let's look at the one with a low score. So the way we configure our risk score is that the higher the. Okay, so we have those that are already in the red with a score of 6, and you can see. Okay, I'm wondering why is this one a 6? What's wrong with it? My people like it. So if you look into it, you can see that there are some settings that are enabled or not. So then you decide if this is a big deal for you or not. Same for compliance. Do you care that some of the missing compliance are not there, or is it something that's less relevant to you? And same for legal requirement. This one has no, well, it has report data breaches on in GDPR that's problematic. So if this is something that in your case is a problem because you have assets in the European Union, for example, and you need full GDPR compliance for all your apps, maybe you won't use this one. But if that's not of importance to you, you know exactly why we classify those apps as high or low, and you can decide what to do with them.
So I
So
guess
that
the point here is it's an education piece, right? For whoever's kind of
exactly.
in charge of that. You don't make the decision on their behalf. They can get the data, make an
Our
informed
goal is
decision.
not exactly or not our goal is not to decide for our customers. Our goal is to empower our customers with the right information so they can make the decisions that work for them. The decision is not going to be the same for each customer, obviously, and so we want to make sure that each and every customer is empowered with the information that we provide here to make the decision that is right for their environment. So that's the beauty of that, of those settings, those parameters that we audit for each application.
Makes sense. And I guess this is a real continuation of the going all the way back to the kind of the add-along days, right, of Defender
Completely,
for cloud
yeah.
apps, where it's that consistency of the discovery piece, and it's called Shadow AI now, right? It used to be
Yeah, that's
Shadow IT, and
it's an
got some
evolution of
attention.
Shadow IT. Some call it Shadow AI, indeed. Um, and so that's why we have a lot of applications that we're able to discover, as I mentioned, and we're really making sure that we we push for as many applications in our catalog as possible, so our customers have a full view of which AI applications. And the concept of that you're describing of shadow AI means whatever customers are not aware of that is in their environment, here they have an option to discover it, to find out.
That's all powered by the page that you've kind of pulled up now, right? Which is the cloud app catalog.
Exactly. So the catalog is let's filter by category here. We want generative AI here. Oh, you see that grew up a little since last time I checked. 1100 now. So again, I told you we're very serious about this. You can right now I'm filtering for only generative AI. If you look at the full total, it's more than 30,000. It's a big number of applications that we classified, but for generative AI, we have 1100 right now, and we're able to see all those applications. You can click on them, see the details. Let's click on this one, and you get again the same settings that we saw earlier.
Very, very cool. And it's funny you mentioned that kind of the 1100 plus number, and it's like, and in my head and in most folks' heads, you maybe think of like these Gen AI apps, and you think of like the main five, or you think of like the 10, right? You think of your Gemini, you think your ChatGPT, you think of the obvious
Yeah.
ones. I mean, that number's honestly, that's kind of mind blowing to me, because it just shows you there's so much out there that you don't know.
Yes,
Luckily, you
indeed.
guys are on the case, but
We're
a lot of
working
folks
on
just
this.
aren't aware of it.
We're doing our best. So we'll see in the future that first of all, more and more vendors are providing an AI apps within their solution. So it's not that we are categorizing apps that exist. It's also that there are new apps coming every day. This is a reality, and that makes the work even more difficult when we're trying to see everything that's going on here with our customers. So we're, as I said, we have our researcher on one side, and we also have our cloud analysts on the other side that are here to power what you're seeing in your screen right now.
Very cool. And for completeness of the kind of whole life cycle, after I've identified these cloud apps and I've said, hey, this doesn't match my risk appetite either because of geographic restrictions or whatever that might be, you can there's the whole unsanctioned sanctioned piece of Defender for
Exactly.
Cloud Apps, right? So how does that
Exactly.
tie into this?
Well, let me show you. So once you have an application that is discovered, let me zoom out a bit so we can see the application name. Once you have decided which application you want to allow or not, you can decide here in the action what you want to do with this application. So let's go with, in our case, here as I mentioned, you can decide what you want to do with those applications. And the action column is where you need to do that. Let's say you don't want to allow GitHub Copilot. So if you do not want to allow it, you unsanction it. As simple as that. You give it a second, and you can decide that you want to block it for everybody or for a profile of certain computer profiles. So right now, I'm just going to go with everybody. And that's it. Nobody can go to GitHub Copilot. As simple as that. So how is it powered? Just for the record, this is powered by a strong integration between Defender for Cloud Apps and Defender for Endpoint. So Defender for Cloud Apps is going to send the signals to Defender for Endpoint of which URLs we want to block, and that will happen at the endpoint level. So it makes it very easy to do, because at the Defender for Endpoint, all you have to do is enable one box, and it also makes it very strong and flexible, because it doesn't matter where your users are. You're not behind a proxy here. You're blocking things at the client level. And I'll tell you, during COVID, but even nowadays, with the large number of people working from home, this makes a lot of sense, because people are not in the office, or a lot of people are not in the office. You need to control them wherever they are, and that's a tool that can help you do that. So that's the basic one on sanction. I'll give you a, yes, I don't want to block it any longer. I'll give you another example here. We also have monitored as a tag. Monitor is an opportunity to warn and educate our users. So if you don't want them to use, for example, ChatGTP, preferably not, but if they really want to, you're fine with that. But that's exactly what it's going to do. You're going to give them a message saying, hey, ChatGTP is not the favorite corporate app we have for GenAI, but if you really want to use it, click here. So my experience is that when you tell customers this is not the appropriate tool, they will not click it. They will rather go to the appropriate tool and start using it. So that it's great to prevent them from using it without completely blocking, because you always have somebody who's going to have a specific use case for a specific application, and that could be documented, that could be tracked and monitored for proper usage. So it makes your life easier. It reduces the number of cases where you have a risk.
And one of the when I look at monitor mode and I think about it, to me it's like a block with override mode, right?
Yeah, that's a
Insofar
good way
as
to see it. I like that. Block with override. Yeah, exactly.
so because one of the ways that I kind of try to steer folks towards when they're looking at actual, what does life with Defender for Cloud Apps look like? It's like I'm fixated on this like 1100 plus AI apps number. Even if I, as a kind of central IT person, I think the business has sanctioned Copilot and maybe ChatGPT or whatever else, we're going to block everything else. It's kind of like if you just go away and take that big bang approach to blocking 1100 different apps, that's a real good way to inundate your service desk, right? So I
Yeah,
guess in my mind, like the monitor mode is kind of a nice little stepping stone until, hey, yeah, nope, this is definitely where we're going to go. Now let's go and
definitely.
block it.
Now I'll tell you the truth, I've rarely seen customers blocking 1100 apps, period. Not just talking about GenAI. It's rare that you would block all the apps. You're going to usually find out some applications specifically that have something you feel is risky for your environment, but blocking applications with such large numbers is very difficult to maintain first of all, finding out which ones, and second, just like you said, you're going to have a bunch of help desk calls. Start blocking Gmail or Facebook. You may inundate your help desk, just like you said.
Percent.
The kind of thing you want to, customers want to be careful about this, but also depends on how many users there are. For a smaller shop, the scale will be easier to handle than for a multinational company.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll give you an example. I've worked with one multinational company who they had a whole data loss prevention team, right? And you literally had folks who their day job was managing cloud discovery, but that's fine for big, massive companies, far more challenging for the kind of company you just mentioned, right? Those smaller scale. And so where I see this being really useful is a lot of IT folks will be familiar with the kind of event that happens. Hey, there's something in the news, like maybe there's a new GenAI app coming out of a certain geography. Boss comes to the desk and says, "Hey, can we block this?" I guess this is a really good starting point for getting a grasp on that.
Yeah, that's exactly. And actually, you know what? Let's do this. Let's pretend we're creating a policy here. We're gonna go with the advanced filter, and we're gonna look for apps that have their headquarter location. It's not the right. We're gonna have to find out headquarter. Yep. So the headquarter is gonna be located, let's say, in France. If you don't want any, or if you want to know anytime somebody uses an app that comes from France. I'm French, so I can also tease the French. So, well, right now there is none, but you can very well decide that you want to create a policy based on that. You click on this button, new policy from search, and you can create an alert anytime somebody will have an application that matches that filter. You can put some traffic requirements, at least 100 users, for example. There's a bunch of things you could decide, and for that you would be able to trigger some kind of an alert, potentially even automatically tag the app as unsanctioned. If you really want nothing to do with France, that's also fine. So you could do that kind of things, and that gives you a you don't even need to, if you do that, you don't even need to monitor your dashboard every day, because who wants to monitor a dashboard every day? You want to find out which things are important to you and create the proper policies. So you could
So this
also
is
very well do something that's going to tell you every time there's a new GenAI apps, and that would work.
right. So the policies are where it becomes more scalable, right? I love that
Exactly.
point there. You don't want to be going there checking out every day. Hey, there's a brand new app added to the cloud app catalog, right? You want to set your baselines of what you care about and then have policies that do stuff about it.
Exactly. As most customers, most environments know what's important for their organization. They know what are their business needs, their business challenges and risks. So you can translate that into those policies so that the things that are important to our customers will just bubble up and through those alerts. So that makes life much easier.
Cool. And I tell you what, one of the things that comes to mind is I think about the the inescapable word of the minute, if you're in the Microsoft world, is Copilot, right? And I think about how if we look at that shadow AI, we we're limited insofar as what we can do with we can get logs and things, but hey, if that is an unmanaged app, we can't API call into it. We can't really get a whole bunch of data about what's going on inside it. Therefore, let's block it. Copilot, on the other hand, it's hey, there's got to be that deep level of integration across the Microsoft platform. So I guess in terms of what I'm wondering is in the context of Defender for cloud apps, what what benefits do I get with the Copilot play, right? Is there like can it pull logs and stuff from Copilot to tell me, hey, your user's trying to do stuff they shouldn't do? What does that look like?
So let me show you. Let's imagine a scenario that may or may not have happened to customers yet, but this is a scenario that our research team is also envisioning and working on. So we're opening Copilot here. This is the work version of Copilot, not the web version. So Microsoft 365 Copilot, and let's say that I hacked this account. I'm a hacker. I hacked that account. So I'm going to tell Copilot exactly what I want to do. What I care about is money. So I'm a hacker. Give
And
me
if you zoom in there for me, David, because my
Sorry?
eyes ain't what they used to be. If you zoom in a little bit
Of
on that to
course.
make it bigger.
All
Beautiful.
right. So give me the financial data for project Obsidian, please. Let's see what we get. So there's a document for project Obsidian here. And we know right away that there's going to be a huge growth in revenue and the stock is going to go through the roof. Yay! I'm a millionaire. So that's okay. As a hacker, I'm happy. Now I want to look at the details. I can check that out. What's in that file? Plain Word document. Let's see what's in there. Okay, and that's just a few information, FAQ, financial results. Perfect. We get everything we need here. So, okay, all good. So now I'm the hacker. I'm exfiltrated the data I needed with one simple, stupid question, and I can go home and buy my stock. And that's the end of it. So insider trading. So that's an actual risk. So in that case, we want to double check what's happening. So we would love to get some kind of knowledge that these kind of things happen. So we do have detections for this kind of risky behavior. And here it is. So right now, this is a sample alert that you can see. And suspicious interaction with Copilot from Microsoft 365, finance-related file access. So okay, that's scary, right? And we see exactly who is the impacted user somewhere in the alert. It's a bit slower. Yeah, that's this one. That's my username. You can see when it triggered, and if this is an incident, you can review the related alerts that would be connected to that incident, for example. So okay, that's great. We get some great information. Let's dig a little deeper. You like advanced hunting, Rue?
Oh, let's go for it. Absolutely.
Let's go for it then.
As that's
Okay.
loading, I'll tell you something I found out recently is that the Cousteau query language, right? The Cousteau comes from, is it Jacques Cousteau, the kind of famous adventurer and
Jacques
explorer?
Cousteau, oui,
Yeah,
for those
yeah,
who speak
amazing.
French. Yeah,
Yep,
indeed, that's where it comes from. In first internal logos, you also had the red bonnet that he was famous for wearing.
that's cool. That's cool.
I'm sharing some internal secrets here. Back to the fun. I mean, that was the fun stuff. Back to the work stuff. So this is a typical simple query you can do. So Cloud App Events, that's where you're going to get most of the Defender for Cloud App stuff. You're going to get them in Cloud App Events, where action type contains Copilot, and raw event data has Obsidian. So we know that there is some query that has to do with Obsidian here. Let's run this thing. Okay. Okay, so what are we seeing here? A number of events that happened. So if we look into the details, what do we have in those raw event data? Well, you have sometimes some usernames, and you also have the resources that were accessed. So in that case, you can see my file, Project Obsidian. You have the full link to it. So now you know which files were queried, and you can know exactly what's the impact. So you know that this user was able to access content for this file. And you know that, okay, if that contains some super confidential market information, you know this guy had access to it, and you know the consequences. It gives you, again, a lot of insight on what happened. Because you caught it fairly quickly, thanks to this detection, you can disable the account also, or do whatever things you would do to disrupt the actions of that malicious user. So right now we made a quick query on Obsidian. I'll tell you one thing. I have a big customer, actually, one of those multinational 200,000 user customer that told me, "Oh, I like this thing. So instead of Obsidian, can I write anything I want?" Yes, you can. So they took one of their top secret projects and my top secret project, and they created. So here I created it before. but they created a new rule for that, and that gave them they created a new rule. So anytime somebody was making a query that returned data about their secret project, they had they had an alert, and they caught a few of them. Not sure how much of them were actually malicious or not, but that was great to give them that visibility that they're looking for.
It's very cool. So I guess as a defender or someone in security operations and response, if I know a user's been compromised and I maybe want to find out the specifics of what did the adversary do, I can go as far as saying, hey, here's the prompt that adversary executed, and here's
So
the
the
sensitive data
prompt
they
is still
interacted with.
confidential. We don't get the prompt
Ah,
you don't get the prompt as of today. I can't talk about the
so that's
future,
kind of
but
cool, actually. So there's a degree of like, I don't want to call it privacy protection because in the corporate environment, can you really have privacy? But it's not.
there's some level. There's some level.
Yeah,
So we cannot query on the prompt yet, but we do. You could actually see the prompt in other of our tools. You can detect confidential data in a prompt from Endpoint DLP, for example, with the AI hub and all
yeah.
those fun things. But
And I
right
guess
now, from
if
Defender for
like
Cloud Apps, you don't have that yet.
and if say for example like there's some sensitive data leaked out in the dark web and my dark web monitoring software tells me about it, well, what I could do is I could take what I know to be the file names of that, punch it into here, and it will come back and
Yeah,
say, hey, here's the user that maybe executed that Copilot prompt that
definitely.
led to it.
That's the kind of things you could. I like that creative thinking, Ruby. That's typically the kind of things in like in real life that would make a lot
Yep,
of sense.
that's cool. That's very, very cool. And I get so this like the cloud app events table in general, that's going to cover, that's not unique to Copilot, right? This is just a
Oh,
different
it contains.
value that's within that
We can
table.
make a quick parenthesis on this. Just gonna look at. Okay, let's go 100 lines, and we'll see what we got. But there's a lot of things in this Cloud App Events table. It contains anything that Defender for Cloud Apps gathers as activity. Here maybe there's a bit too much to query with not enough filters. Let's see if that helps. Okay, not sure. What's going on with this one? Just want to get 10 events to give you a quick idea of what we would get here. Well, those are not the most fun ones, but you can see some of the events you get. So you see which applications it's related to. So Copilot chat in that case, or Microsoft 365. Due to the fact that we are able to connect to Defender for Cloud Apps products such as ServiceNow or Salesforce, you would also get events about what's happening on ServiceNow or Salesforce. So it's really great to go deep into investigation. My usual recommendation is to customers is just connect it. Even if you don't want to use it now, if something happens, you will have forensic data to play with, even for your other applications. So that's a very valuable tool. Usually when customers start connecting it, they realize the value very quickly and they start leveraging it for more than just eventual forensic in the future.
Couldn't agree more. Customer just recently of mine who just gets the full E5 stack, and we're figuring out, hey, what are all the cool things we can do? We connect DocuSign, and we connect it really just to prove, hey, here's how app connectors work. Fast forward a week, a user gets compromised, and it's like, well, all of a sudden we can use that centralized Defender XDR platform to see all the stuff that the adversary did, including third-party SaaS apps, which is just, if you've never had that degree of visibility before and you finally get it, it's
Yeah,
like it's such a
that's a
game changer.
that's a great success story. We've seen a few like that where sometimes we have to connect Defender for Cloud Apps during an incident when the problem already happened. We get much less data because we only get a few hours, sometimes a few days of historical data. But when it's already connected and all we have to do is query it, that makes life just so much simpler for investigation and for forensics.
And I guess, you can kind of just assume that as time goes on and we get more and more app connectors, those same benefits that you're getting with Project Obsidian and in Copilot, well, AI is only going to go one where there's just going to be more and more of that visibility over time, I assume.
Indeed, indeed. I can share for our plans in that area because still a lot to be ironed out, but I'm hoping we'll have our discussions, you and I, Ru,
Awesome.
hopefully in
Love it.
that
And so
forum.
I guess absolutely. And so as we kind of wrap up here, I guess two maybe points to close out on. First thing that comes to mind for me is in terms of where you see the direction of investment and product future of Defender for Cloud Apps with regards to AI security. Like what's the vision that customers can expect over the next year, 2, 3 years, without getting into NDA stuff, but just as a general kind of
Of course, of course.
temperature
So
check?
remember, Defender for Cloud Apps is really a SaaS security solution. It's here to protect your apps in the cloud. So the definition of an app in the cloud is something that we see is changing every day, and it's something that our customers see changing, and they want to have a bigger coverage. So we're thinking of covering a new kind of applications in the cloud, whether it's custom apps, whether it's low code, no code apps, whether it's other applications that you could connect and that benefit that have strong AI features, strong AI usage. These are the kind of things that we're investing into and we're really looking into. In terms of threat, as I mentioned, our research team is very active right now, and you can expect more detections in the future. And of course we'll publish the announcement when the time is right.
Awesome. Love that teaser. And then final point, I guess, to leave the listeners and viewers on is, if I'm a security professional or IT professional, I've got Defender for Cloud Apps, I care about AI security. What's like objective number one? What do I need to listen to this show away and then just go away and get that done?
So my recommendation is, if you already, the beauty of this, of everything I showed you here, is that you have nothing to configure. If you already use Defender for Cloud Apps, you have nothing else to configure. Look at the results. That's what I would recommend. Go to your discovery page, look at what we discovered for you. Go into your incidents and alerts, see if something has triggered. Go into event hunting, make a few queries and find out what's going on with your Copilot usage. It's already there. I think you can. I love this product because it's really a low configuration product. Things are already here. As long as you have it configured, those new features are already going to be there for you, and you can start leveraging. So that's usually my recommendations to customers. Now, if you don't have it configured, it's also not that complex. Just enable start with discovery, enable the integration with Defender for Endpoint, and within a couple hours or so, you will start seeing the data showing up. So that's what I usually go first with customers who care about AI security. Just get started with discovery, get the visibility, and if you have discovery, take a look at what we got for you.
Great advice. And I totally agree with your point about the advantage being it's reasonably low configuration product, right? I'm writing a book about Defender XDR at the minute, and I told the publisher I'll be able to write 60 pages on Defender for Cloud Apps. And the setup piece, that's like a handful of pages because so much of you get these detections out the box as an example, right? So it's a nice low barrier for entry. So that's awesome. Anything, any parting words, anything we've not covered thus far that you want to tell users about?
Well, we covered everything that we are doing right now in terms of AI, but I want to let our customers know that this beautiful product, Defender for Cloud Apps, whichever component you start using it with, it could very well be like 3 different products, maybe even more than 3 products. We have features related to security for AI. We have threat detection features that are more general than just AI. It's really threat detection for your applications in the cloud. We also have a very strong focus right now on app-to-app security. So this is something that you definitely wanna look into with a component called app governance. And finally, again, very quickly, which is not giving justice to the product, the SSPM section is also very valuable, where you can see what best practice for such or such applications, whether it's Office or Salesforce or ServiceNow, is properly configured according to best practices or not. And if it's not, then we give you the recommendations on how to configure it. So we could have other of those sessions on these, or we could share some resources with our customers on content, so you can learn about these features. But when you look at Defender for Cloud Apps, the key is really look at every feature. There's a lot of them, and there's a lot of different angles to that product.
Love it. Great point. And on that teaser, we will be doing a future episode, folks, on the app to app security, OAuth security, all that good stuff. That'll be coming out soon after this episode, actually. So make sure I get to do the whole YouTube algorithm play thing here, right? Make sure you're subscribed, etc., so that you can get a copy of that. So listen, David, this was very informative. Thank you for your time. And everyone listening, make sure you go out there and do what Dave said. Get up and running with Defender for Cloud Apps.
Thank you, Rue. Thank you all.
Here's David.